Thank goodness for that. We finally had a decent spell of rain and some heavy showers to breathe new life into the garden. It's about time too, and the temperatures have cooled off a bit as well. It's much more pleasant out here now. Now, I've been quite busy this week, as you might imagine. A whole month's worth of work to catch up with, and I started in the front garden. The front garden's had a really good tidy. I daren't show you a before photograph, it's really too embarrassing. But you can see the rockery's looking nice and neat. And this corner, there was a tree stump, if you remember. Well, it's now gone. Took quite a bit of effort. I had to dig down a foot. And I got most of the roots out, but there was one root that went straight down. And when I chopped it off about 18 inches down, it was still that fat. I don't think it's going to grow back. Anyway, I thought that here I might put the big purple geranium that's currently in my back garden. I think it'll look really nice there and really fill that space and keep the weeds down. Many of my remaining beetroot are ready to pick. So let's waste no time in pulling them up. Dee, 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 dee. Ooh, lovely, 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 lovely. There are a few that I can leave in the ground for later, but I'm really happy with this crop. I mean, how can you not be happy with something as lovely as that? Next on my to-do list is to dig up my potatoes. Yes, it is raining, by the way, but I don't care. It's so nice to have some rain. Some very small potatoes. Well, it's hardly what I would call an unmitigated success. But what was really noticeable was that the plants themselves weren't looking particularly healthy. Maybe it's just been too hot for them this year. Don't know. I will not be deterred though, because I've got some autumn planting potatoes. That's the thing about gardening, you never really know what's going to happen, and you're always at the mercy of the elements, and the soil, and the animals, and the birds. But onward and upward. So I've got 9 chitted tubers here. They're starting to sprout. I've put them about 9 inches apart in 2 rows, and they need to be about 4 or 5 inches deep, so I'm going to use a bulb planter to get them in. Well, they're in to a depth of about 5 inches, so I'm just going to tramp down the soil to help try and keep weeds down and cats discouraged from trying to dig here. They much prefer loose soil than compacted soil, and I have found evidence of cat poo in here. No, cat! You are not going to use this as a toilet. No, weeds. You are not going to use this as a breeding ground. Whew, sorted. Some people just don't get the idea that actually it's my garden, and I choose what grows in it and who craps in it. What next? Oh yes, I've got some purple sprouting broccoli seeds. So I'll just make a couple of drills. Yeah, 2 should do it. Then I'll sprinkle the seeds in. Cover them over and then tramp down again to discourage weeds and cats. I must tell you this, the first spring I was here, in that bed, I planted a row of cauliflower, a row of spinach, a row of Brussels sprouts, and a row of broccoli. And I hadn't realised just how enthusiastic the cat would dig in soft soil. So 5 or 6 weeks later, there were things popping up all over the place. Gone were my rows, cauliflowers, I think they were cauliflowers, popping up here, there and everywhere amongst the spinach and the broccoli. I just gave up. I've got purple beans. I picked some earlier in the week. There's a couple of things you should know about these purple beans. Yes, they are easier to see, although as you can see the stalks themselves are quite dark, but they're very tasty, and when you cook them they go green just like normal beans. Well, that's quite a good little haul, I reckon. Yes, they're quite fascinating, these beans. Reminds me of a compound I once synthesised when I was a PhD student. It looked like it was dark purple crystals, and when you dissolved it in solvent, something like THF, depending on how you looked at the solution, it either looked really dark purple or really dark green. And sometimes, if you were looking at it in a Schlenk vessel, it would look green on the edges and purple in the middle. Fascinating stuff. Now, I know some of you are thinking right now, what is she talking about? Well, obviously I'm talking about purple-green dichroism in relation to these beans. Huh? I've been thinking a lot about my garden over the last 4 or 5 weeks, really, and I've come to some conclusions. Firstly, I think these roses are going to go. I've told you before I'm not a great fan of roses. I don't mind your bush roses, but climbing roses, I really don't like them. So I'm going to put some clematis here instead. I like clematis. They're very pretty and much easier to manage than climbing roses. I've also decided I'd quite like to grow some grapes, and this arch might provide the perfect place for them. I'm kind of thinking seedless varieties, if that's possible. If you have any experience of growing seedless grape varieties, please let me know. I'd be interested to hear from you. I've also decided I don't really need a second cooking apple tree. I think what I'll do is replace it with a pear spindle, pretty much like what I've got here now. Maybe it might just encourage better fruiting if it has a neighbour. Anyway, that's all I've really got time for this week. Thankfully those showers have held off long enough for me to get something done and to keep you amused on your Sunday morning, stroke afternoon, stroke evening. Thanks for watching. Must do something with my hair. Do join me next time in Titli's busy garden.